It's Flash Talk brought to you by Hungry Howies Week 2 edition. Dan Griffin alongside the head coach of the 1-0 Golden Flashes, Sean Lewis. And coach, 1-0. That sounds pretty good.
It does sound good. Dan, good to be back with you. Glad that we found a way to win the other night. Lots to clean up, and the kids handled that the right way the day after the game. Now a short week, to prepare for BG. Very good BG team, but proud that we are 1-0.
Well, let's start with we'll wrap up Eastern Michigan pretty quickly because Dustin joined us in the press conference right after the game. Obviously excited for the win. You could almost tell there was like a pit in his stomach that he knew that he himself personally and the team as a whole left some things out there. And if you're talking about a comeback victory in the MAC, a very tightly contested conference, that's a sign of a good team growing together and getting better, especially given the uncertainty of who the 22 on the field are going to be at any one time this year.
Yeah, I think regardless of how tough things get, good teams find a way to win. And maybe even when they're not at their best, on a given night, they work together, they play together. Nothing's more important than the team, and everyone is selfless, and they find a way to win. And that's what we had the other night. Guys stepped up in a lot of different key roles because of different factors and different things that are outside of our control. But what we can control is our effort, our enthusiasm, and the way that we're able to execute because of our level of focus. And when it got to a critical point in time in that game in the fourth quarter, guys stepped up in all three phases to make plays and for us to find a way, to pull out a win. And we've done that the last 5 times now that we've gone out, which is neat, that our kids are finding ways to win in different ways. And it was great to start off this 2020 campaign with a win.
You guys keep mentioning the fact that you were chasing ghosts, kind of preparing for Eastern Michigan, and you're going to be chasing ghosts a lot as the season goes on. Is week 1 in a season like this, or just week 1 in general, the hardest to prepare for because given the amount of time leading up to that game, especially this season, not knowing who is going to be out there on both sides of the ball, at least going into BG, you've got some tape on a 2020 version of an opponent.
Sure. Yeah, I think to answer the first part of your question, week 1's always unique. It's always interesting, but in a normal preparation, you know who your week 1 opponent is, so you get to spend some time on them over the summer, and you kind of have a better sense of personnel and scheme. There is always a little bit week 1 of where you're chasing some ghosts, to where we all, like we talked about last week, you do a little self-reflection and where can you tinker with some things to kind of fine-tune your football team and what's that going to be. So we were doing that. And then obviously this season, really, really unique to where, our crossover opponents, we're supposed to be Central Michigan, Western Michigan, NIU. And, when I shook hands with Coach Creighton at the end of last year, was not anticipating seeing him and his ball club again. Get the curveball, sudden change, okay, adapt, here we go. And now you got to dive back into them, and you have to figure out who their people are going to be, what were the changes and the things that they made. New quarterback, they played 2 quarterbacks, and what they were doing with each one of those kids. I thought our staff did a great job seeing all those things. We had some new eyes up in the coaching box that did a great job communicating things from the top down. And, we're really pleased with the effort. Now going ahead, like you said, we have 1 week of tape, so you got an idea of, okay, hey, the starting left tackle, maybe it's this kid, that's who played, but was he playing because of someone being out, because of contact tracing or different things, or is that the starting left tackle? So we got some information. We got to go confirm that information now on Tuesday night after 6 days of preparation, but at least we kind of have a better idea as we start to, calibrate and focus in on BG of what they're looking like.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your defense. I loved the performance on Wednesday night. We'll talk some individuals as the game goes, as the conversation kind of evolves. But I thought you did a great job of keeping the plays in front of you, and it started with stopping the run. I talked to Keyshawn a little bit in a pregame segment, and he was basically like, "That's what we preach. We preach attack, stop the run." And I think if it was more than 2 yards a carry, it wasn't much more.
Yeah, I mean, very, very pleased with the effort by our defense. Great job by the defensive staff. Great efforts across the board of kids really showing up and performing. As you alluded to with your conversation with Keyshawn, when we talk about our plan to win, first and foremost, we need to control the controllables and give ourselves a chance to win by not beating ourselves. But then the very next thing that we preach when it comes to defensive football is stopping the run. To where if we can limit an opponent to around 2 yards a carry and make them one-dimensional by just throwing the football because we're doing such a good job stopping the run, I feel that really gives us a competitive advantage, to dictate things and to be able to be in that attack mindset the way that we want to be, that we were the other night. And I'm looking forward to seeing all season long.
Well, I'm a stat guy by nature. That's literally what I do for a living. Fewest yards allowed rushing since 2015. So congratulations.
Love that. That's awesome.
And talking to Keyshawn, it's a radio interview, but I get the privilege of seeing him on Zoom, talking to him about the new role you've given him. Smile, ear to ear. Talk to us a little bit about not only him, but putting playmakers in space. It's a defense that just basically is, I'm going to put my guys in a chance to succeed.
Yeah, I think, really when you look at any area of this game, the number one thing that a coach needs to do is put their playmakers in a position to be successful. And when we went back and we assessed particularly that outside linebacker room and the role that they had, kind of in our previous structure, it was pretty limited, in where they were at on the field. Again, as teams prepared for us and game planned against us, you knew where Keyshawn, and the rest of the outside linebackers were going to be. And that kind of, obviously, it's like playing poker with someone and they got to tell. You see their tell, you're laying your cards down every single time because you're not going to walk into that trap. Now, with the flexibility that a guy like Keyshawn gives us and the other athletes that we have on the field, we eliminate some tells. And again, because of the way that particularly the college game has evolved offensively, I think it's really important that you don't kind of think about things in terms of, okay, he's an outside linebacker, he's a boundary end, he's a field end, he's a strong safety, he's a free safety. I think you really just have to have defensive football players that are positionless because of tempo teams, because of the way, offenses shift and trade and put stress on the defense in a lot of different ways. You got to have playmakers on that side of the ball that can line up, and they're an X. They're an X on a chalkboard, and they do a lot of different things. So that way, as an offense, when you prepare for them, you can't look at an individual and just say, hey, he's going to be here, he's going to do this, and that's all we have to worry about. When you look at our 11 pieces that play really, really well together and fly around and communicate and attack, it's kind of hard to tell what those pieces on the board are going to do when you're preparing for them, which is really, really cool.
How much is that based on the I don't want to call it a trend or chic or anything like that, of up-tempo offenses to where they're not going to give defenses the chance to sub? I know that's what you guys preach on your offensive end, to have a number of Swiss Army knives that can rush the quarterback, stop the run, drop back and cover a tight end, just using a linebacker as an example, sure. Because they're going to try to keep those 11 people or as many of those on the field for that entire drive as possible.
Yeah, I think anytime as a player, using to walk along with you with the linebacker, to where they are multifaceted and can do a lot of different things, it allows you as a play caller to really kind of simplify your calls, because you're not limited to where guys have to be, again, in certain positions. That you can make a base call, and whatever comes out, in whatever situation or conflict the offense tries to present you with, you have guys that are cross-trained, can do a lot of different jobs. It's kind of like the neighborhood handyman, right? Like you grew up with the guy on the neighborhood that, is the union worker. And if something goes wrong in your house, you can call that guy in the neighborhood and he's going to come and fix it, whether it's your plumbing, your electricity, your AC, and it's going to get done the right way. That guy in the neighborhood is really, really valuable. And if you're a guy in our defense that can do a lot of different things, you're kind of like the neighborhood handyman, I guess.
I mean, you had a lot of handymen on Wednesday night, which is always a great sign. Flipping the side to the offense, I love the play of the offensive line, like was mentioned a couple of times through press conferences and whatnot. I thought they did a good job creating a pocket. I thought they did a great job at setting up your run game. 212 yards rushing, 219 yards passing, and you got to love that balance too.
Yeah, it's always good to be balanced in the same way that we preach defensively, that we want to stop the run. We want to be able to run the football, and our offense starts there. So anytime that you're rushing for over, 200 yards, that's a good night at the office. The continuity of that group with, only losing really Nate Warnock up front, which was obviously a big piece in the center position, but Jack Clement has played a bunch of snaps for us since he's been here, really solidified and calmed things down inside. Nate Monin, will be a 3-year starter this year and has done a great job inside for us. And anytime that you're strong inside in your O-line and those guys play, all 5 of them play as one and see things through one set of eyes, which I thought they did a really good job of the other night. We talked about it earlier in the week with our press conference, to where even the times that they were wrong, Dan, they were all wrong together so we could still be right, which is really, really cool to see. They communicated, they all got on the same page. They believed what they were seeing. Now we can refine it to make sure that it's ideal to what they're seeing, but they were together. They were on the same page. They were able to execute together. And because of that, the pictures were clear, whether it be run game, pass game, and protection. And we can operate and we can build off that.
Well, let's kind of shift our attention to BG on Tuesday night. ESPN2, nice little national spotlight for you.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be nice, to have, again, coming to the season with expectations and then to show up and perform and get a win, and then to be on a stage where the lights are bright is always a good thing. But kind of like we talked about as the spotlight kind of started to shine on our program at the tail end of last year, no matter how bright the stage gets because of the spotlights, I tell you what, there's nothing that shines brighter than our kids and the spirit and the attitude that they bring day in and day out. So, it's humbling to be able to be on that stage. But it's really cool to have the opportunity for our kids, especially for when travel and things of that nature, given the current situation that we're in across this country, to be able to be on national TV and friends and family to be able to watch from far and wide, it's a great opportunity for us and our Flash Fast family.
You're obviously familiar with the BG, the program, historically having coached there yourself, but the job that Coach Loeffler is doing, they're another kind of flash fast type of offense yourself. No huddle multiple is what they're listing themselves at. Having your defense going up against a similar type offense each and every week, does that help, or are they a little different in what they want to do compared to you guys?
I think in a lot of ways, there's some philosophies that are the same. You can tell that they want to run the football. They want to take some play action shots down the field, where we are more, I guess when you look at our offense, and we really stress defenses because of our splits lining up from numbers to numbers, and we use the whole width of the field. They present some conflicts in a different way to where they want to condense the formations. You early looking at them this morning, and as we prepare and everything, they kind of remind me a little bit, and talking with Coach Kaufman about it, of like the St. Louis. There you go. The Los Angeles Rams, not the St. Louis Rams. The Los Angeles Rams, and the way Sean McVay really uses condensed formations. That's kind of what they look like to me with Coach Loeffler and what he's doing and what he's building and the pieces that he's putting together there.
Should be a lot of fun on Tuesday night defensively. What do they kind of bring to the table?
Again, they're very multiple. They'll present different fronts to you. They don't change their personnel. So a lot in what we were talking about with our defense and being multiple out of the same 11 guys that are on the field, they present the same issues to where they'll have their base people out on the field, but one down on first down, they might be in a 4-down front. Second down, they might be in a 3-down front. Third down, they bring in some exotic packages with extra DBs and, some simulated pressures. So we got to be great with our eyes, and we got to follow our keys and let those rules, kind of guide us to freedom.
Last question here for you, completely independent of the game against BG. Let's just talk about you as a football coach and a football player. When did you start falling in love, starting playing the game?
Oh, shoot. My dad introduced me to the game very, very early on. My mom wouldn't let me play tackle football until 4th grade, and all my friends started when they were in 1st grade. So for about 3 years, I was begging her to play. She kept saying, nope, 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 nope. And then I went out my 4th grade year for my first couple of days. I've never been so sore in my life. And I was like, Mom, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. And she said, hey, we got one simple rule in our family. You start something, you finish it. And she jammed me into my practice pads. I don't think she slowed down the car that day when she dropped me off for practice. Said, your dad will be here to take you home. Threw me out the car. didn't let me quit. The rest is history. And, moms are awesome. And I can't thank my mom enough for that moment and giving me what I needed, not what I wanted at that point in time.
So once you kind of got over the soreness of those first 4 days or so of fourth grade football, you started realizing, hey, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was fun, and it still is fun. And that's probably why, I'm coaching now. Guys who get into coaching are just football players that the game said they no longer need. And it's the only way that I can stay close and stay attached to it. It's to me, there's nothing like it. It teaches great life lessons. It's the ultimate team game to where if one guy in any unit's not doing their job, the football gods find them and things get blown up, and so you need everyone on every single play. And just the mental and physical adversity I think that this game goes through teaches you how to handle the mental and physical adversities of life. I think that's different and unique than a lot of sports. And, I think a lot of people want to change some things to take that out of the game. And I think that's sacred to the game. And we need not touch that, do things in a smart way. But, the things that make this game pure and the things that make this game beautiful, we need to protect. That's what makes it special. That's what makes it not for everyone. And that's okay, but for the crazy people like myself, our players and our staff that love this thing, I tell you what, there's not a whole lot like it.
When you said your dad introduced it to you, is that Chicago Bears football growing up in Illinois, like it was with my dad? Was that, for me, college was Illinois, and it kind of grew from there. What was your experience like?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably pretty typical of most Midwesterners, to where, Saturdays were for college football and Sundays were for the NFL. We're big Bears fans in our household. So we watched the Bears during that time. Full cards on the table. For whatever reason, I got to be a Florida State fan when I was growing up. And when Warwick Dunn was drafted by the Buccaneers, I was the only person in my family that wasn't cheering for the Bears, and I was cheering for the Bucs at that point in time. But it was more so probably just the connection that, playing catch with my dad and just kind of those silly moments. And he was kind of the one that first introduced tempo football to me, because we'd go out and we'd have these little 3-play packages against the other boys in the neighborhood, and we'd have pickup football games and everything. And, still to this day, I remember he'd say, okay, hey, we're going to go Raiders. And that was when Ken Stabler, for him, they would just be chucking bombs. So Raider package was just three deep balls in a row. That was kind of just those simple things. And it was a simple connection and love that me and my dad shared. Again, it's special. It's sports. And I think that's why, during this time when we didn't have this, and the way people across the country use sports as an outlet, as an escape, it's what makes it special. It's why we need it. And, it's important for everyone's mental health and well-being to have a physical outlet. And ours happens to be football, coaching ball, and taking care of our young men.
Well, Coach, with that, we'll let you get back to it, preparing for the Falcons, and we'll see you on the Deuce on Tuesday night.
Sounds good. Appreciate you. Go Flashes.